Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie, and one thing I've learned is that you buy a house, but you make it a home. Because with every fix, update, and renovation, it becomes a little more your own. So you need all your jobs done well. For nearly 30 years, Angie has helped millions of homeowners hire skilled pros for the projects that matter. From plumbing to electrical, roof repair to deck upgrades. So leave it to the pros who will get your jobs done well. Hire high-quality certified pros at Angie.com.
They say opposites attract. That's why the Sleep Number Smart Bed is the best bed for couples. You can each choose what's right for you whenever you like. You like a bed that feels firm but they want soft? Sleep Number does that. You want to sleep cooler while they like to feel warm? Sleep Number does that too. You have to feel it to believe it. Find the bed that's for both of you, only at a Sleep Number store. Sleep better together. J.D. Power ranks Sleep Number #1 in customer satisfaction with mattresses purchased in store. And now, Sleep Number Smart Beds starting at $999. Prices higher in Alaska and Hawaii. For J.D. Power 2023 award information, visit jdpower.com/awards. Only at a Sleep Number store or sleepnumber.com.
The fence goes up, and they decide to put all the nice part on their side?
Yeah, so the fence initially, we both have a pool, so our pools are kind of right direct from each other. I do have bushes because people on that side like to skinny dip, and I had young children, so I did plant bushes there.
Who on that side liked to skinny dip?
I believe it was her father.
Okay, well, good for him.
At the time, my children.
This is the plaintiff, Kim Crisp. She says she and the defendant agreed to share the cost of a fence on some property they shared. And after the job was started, she changed her mind and now refuses to pay her fair share. She would not have gone through with building the fence without the defendant agreeing to pay half and is suing for the $1,447 she's owed. This is the defendant, Olga Moniz. She says she agreed to split the cost if it was a friendly neighbor fence like the fence before it. A friendly neighbor fence means both sides are the nice side, but the plaintiff built the fence so the nice side was on her side. And she's not paying for an ugly fence on her side because that wasn't the agreement. She's accused of refusing to get fenced in.
All parties, please use your right hand.
What you are about to witness is real. The participants are not actors. They are actual litigants with a case pending in civil court. Both parties have agreed to drop their claims and have their cases settled here before Judge Marilyn Milian in our forum, the People's Court.
People's Court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Marilyn Milian is presiding. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning.
Litigants have been sworn.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Ms. Crisp, you are suing your neighbor, Ms. Moniz, for $1,447, her half of a replacement fence that you say she has an obligation to pay because she agreed to pay it. Tell me about it.
So back in, March, we had a repair guy come out with my sister-in-law to a house that me and my brother own in Bryn. Olga is the neighbor that lives behind the house. The fence was falling down, leaning. The house was built in '85, so quite some time ago.
Okay, so what am I looking at here?
So that is pictures from my backyard or my dad's. My brother and I own the house. So this is from our backyard. The cement, that is Olga's house, so that's all.
Okay, so is this a picture once the fence was already torn down?
Correct.
Oh, okay. Do you have pictures of the actual fence?
No, I don't think there was of the fence actually there in place.
Okay, so
these were when he was taking it down.
All right. So you folks inherit the house, and then you talk to her about what? Because it's right on the property line, the fence?
Yes.
Okay.
So I contacted her because it was falling down. So I said, hey, we're getting a fence bid. Are you willing to go halves? I sent her, she asked for a estimate, sent the estimate through a text message because that's what she requested. I asked if she wanted me to email or text. She said text. I sent her the text. And I believe on May 24th, I asked her, I checked in with her, hey, how did it look? She goes, great, looks way better than the $6,000 quote I got before.
Okay. So she agrees to pay half, and then the fence goes up, and what happens?
And then all of a sudden she says, I'm not paying.
Did she tell you why?
She said this is not a good friendly fence.
And what does that mean? Okay, let's ask her. Go ahead.
Hello. Neighbor-friendly fence. I've been in the home since 2000, and the fence was actually replaced about 2003. When that fence was put up, it was put up as a friendly neighbor, which means every panel is switched. So you have one flat side on your property, the next panel is flipped over so that neighbor has a flat side, and so
On there, so it's alternating?
it's alternating.
So that both sides have an ugly fence?
Both
Like I'm kind of...
we 50-50 with the aesthetics of a
Right,
fence.
right.
And the prior owner, I don't believe it was her father, decided that they wanted the aesthetic to be completely flat on their side.
Well, sure.
And sure, so my husband and I had said, you can do that, but we are not paying a 50% cost. So what they did is they added additional boards so that their property showed a completely flat side, but they didn't add any extra post. So that fence has been leaning since it was actually put in. So for the past 20 years or so, my husband, you could see some of the trees, he would actually pull the fence back because it wasn't ugly, it was just leaning. So he would pull it up and he would anchor it so that it would, because we both have dogs that would push it.
Right.
So he would anchor it.
Anchor it to what?
To our trees that
Okay.
I have a little lemon tree and I have some bushes that I put in.
Okay.
So he would anchor it. My husband passed away in September of 2020.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. So I was not able to maintain that.
Right.
So I, at the time, spoke to the residents, whom I thought was the owner, and I said, are you interested? And this was probably spring of 2021. I said, I can't maintain it. Would you like to replace it? She told me at the time she didn't own the home. Her husband owned the home. He passed away, but she was able to live there. Her stepchildren allowed her to live there as long as she maintained it, and she couldn't afford it. I spoke with her son and I said, if you could anchor it, I'm fine with it. Then I do receive a message from Kim, or actually it was not Kim, it was her sister-in-law that was actually at the property getting fence quotes.
Okay.
I leaned over the fence because I heard them speaking, and I said, could you send me the quote from the actual contractor? I don't hear back. I probably may. Like Kim said, she sent me a text message. Your share would be $1,400.
But no actual quote?
No, it was just her quote texting
Right, when you
me.
say, okay, so you say, well, she asked for it by text, right, so send the quote by text, not your words by text. Did you send the quote by text?
I did.
On what day did you send the quote by text?
So I sent that to her.
Not the invoice from a contractor, though. It was her texting.
Because it's a handyman.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, she
Correct.
wants something from the third party
And
who's
that was
doing the
on
fence.
May 19th.
What did you send on May
A
19th?
text exactly from Jeff, the fence guy, to her.
Like you forwarded his words to her?
Exactly.
What day is that?
May 19th.
I have a date of February 27th. What's that?
That is a Jeff text from Jeff to my sister-in-law. Then my sister-in-law sent me what Jeff sent her. So Jeff is the guy that
Is
did
it the same
fence.
language that you send to her?
Yes.
All right, so then what happens, though? The fence goes up, and they decide to put all the nice part on their side?
Yeah, so the fence initially, we both have a pool, so our pools are kind of right direct from each other. I do have bushes because people on that side like to skinny dip, and I had young children, so I did plant bushes there.
Who on that side liked to skinny dip?
I believe it was her father.
Okay, well, good for him.
At the time, my children were, I had young children, so
You never know.
you never know. So I had trampolines. I said, I'm going to put some bushes
Yeah,
in.
that's why the kids wanted the trampolines. That's what you don't understand.
You know, being the mom. So Jeff came and he removed the old fence first.
Jeff is the fence guy,
Is the
right?
fence
Okay.
guy.
Correct.
When he started to put in the fence, I work all day, single mom, I work all day. I came home from work, the fence was down. Okay, project's getting started. The next day, he puts the first and second board in, and this is where there are no bushes. It is where my pool pump is and a small rose bush. And he puts two sides, flat side facing her. I contacted her and I said, hold on, this is not what I agreed to. We have an issue. I agreed to a friendly neighbor fence. She says to me, what is a friendly neighbor fence? And I said, have you owned property before?
Listen, but quite frankly, you could own property and not know what a friendly neighbor fence
Correct.
is. I've owned property my entire life. I didn't know what a
didn't
friendly
know what
neighbor
friendly
fence
neighbor
was. So
fence
you're a
was.
little snooty about that with her. Have you ever owned property?
I did get a little snooty.
So you say, have you ever owned property? And then
Right.
what?
And I said, I want, because I want a neighbor-friendly fence. I
Right.
want
And
it
then at
as
this point,
it
how
was.
much of the fence was up?
2 panels.
And that's it?
That's it.
And then what did she say to you?
She didn't know what a neighbor front. She wasn't familiar
Right, so
with
you
it.
tell her, and then what does she say?
Nothing really. They continued with the work, and I
Wait,
asked
what
her.
does she say? No way. You have bushes, I don't. What does she say?
She did say that according to Jeff, that my bushes were in the way.
Well, then get the bushes out of the way if you want to.
Well, and
trim 'em.
that's what I said. I said, however, I said the fence before that was existing.
Yeah, I know. And now your problem is that according to you, she tells you this when the project's almost done.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
So we would have told Jeff, hey, what's going on? Jeff responded, I let them know when when my sister-in-law and Jeff was over there that there needed to be clearance. He needed 2.5 feet clearance.
I'm sorry, hold on. Mm-hmm. Did Jeff ever tell you?
No, ma'am.
All right, you're going to need Jeff to testify.
Okay.
Call your next witness.
Okay.
Right. Because
I have text, but
from
yeah.
Jeff. No, I saw the text from Jeff.
Yeah.
What it says is, I couldn't do it that way because I needed clearance. It doesn't say, I told that lady
Right.
she needed to clean up.
Correct.
And she didn't, so what do you want me to do? That's not what it says.
Right.
So I think that what happened is you wanted the nice fence on your side, because who wouldn't? And then, then it turned out that it did matter. And there's no dispute, is there, that the fence that you were replacing was alternating, right? Right. So you say, well, if she had conditions to paying her half, she should have stated them from the beginning. And she says, if you weren't going to replace exactly what was there, you should have said something at the beginning, right? So where are we? At some point, she says, it's not fair to ask me to pay 50%. I'm not going to pay 50%. Let's
Right.
negotiate. And
I
you
did.
guys then do. And they text you and say, how about 1,000? And what was your response to that?
She said my brother said he will drop it to 1,000.
Okay.
At this point, I felt that there were too many sister-in-law, brother. I wanted to speak directly to both owners. I've never, this is my first time seeing her. I've never met them.
Mm-hmm. Do you live in the property, or
I live in the property,
You do?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, so I live
Do
in
you
my
live in the property?
I do not.
No, okay.
And I did give the residents my information, my phone number. I said, could you please have them reach out to me? That's how they initially reached out to me. And I spoke to the sister-in-law. I said, if the brother is making these decisions, I would like to speak to the brother. And then she started to throw in, well, texts are legally binding. And I said, at that point, we'll take it to court because...
Yeah, but why? Like, she's kind of right. I mean, it is...
Oh, I agree.
It's smart of her not to have to go to court and swear to what people said as opposed to just show. So she's right to want to put it in text. You just don't say what you said. Like, you don't tell the other side, I'm going to get you. Like, you
Right.
just keep your mouth shut and you
me to
say,
speak to my brother.
I just want to make sure that we're all clear. How about the three of us text together so we're
Right.
all on the same page?
Right.
That's all y'all got to do.
Right. She
And-
never asked for my brother's.
Okay,
phone
so
number.
let's say that your brother, let's say that whatever, that you had said, well, I want to speak to whoever's making the decision. Let's say it's the brother, let's say that. And then let's say that the brother texts you. What would you then discuss with him?
I would probably discuss, because I agreed to a contractor, I didn't agree to a side job. I wasn't informed it was a side job.
I don't know what that means. You tell me what that means.
Well, when people are working on my property, there's a certain liability. And when it is a side job, I then become liable if that person is injured.
Okay.
And without there being, contractors are usually
Okay.
licensed and insured.
Okay, and that's lovely, everything you just said. I'm not sure it's 100% accurate. But if you wanted a licensed contractor, did you ever say that? Because the truth of the matter is, you and I both know that not everyone we hire is licensed. are
Oh,
they?
correct, on certain
Right,
items.
because some
correct.
stuff just, it's not
Right.
rocket science.
Right.
So it would be, just like I told her, what's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Hi, I'm Angie Hicks, co-founder of Angie. When you use Angie for your home projects, you know all your jobs will be done well. Roof repair? Done well. Kitchen sink install? Done well. Deck upgrades? Done well. Electrical upgrade? Done well. Angie's been connecting homeowners with skilled pros for nearly 30 years, so we know the difference between done and done well. Hire high-quality, certified pros at Angie.com.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be, to be.
Just like I told her, if you're gonna change what's there, it's up to you to have to say something. So if you're gonna insist on a certain type of tradesman, then that is up to you to say, well, I need something in writing, not just his text to you. I want to see it, and I want to see their license number, and I want all that happen later because now she's aggravating you at that point. Okay, that's really what happened. Is that you don't like her tone. Because not only did she not do what was already there, then she's got a little bit of an attitude about it. Right? Because her texts to you aren't, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Her texts are, you are legally liable to pay for half because you said, it's all in the details, people. We didn't need to be here. It's all in the details.
It is.
And I have always said, and I agree, that things are, oftentimes you amp it up in text because you read them with the tone you want to read them. And so I tell my children all the time, it's so much better to speak in person. Except I tell my litigants all the time, make sure you've got it in writing. So I get that, but at some point you could balance those two by having a phone call and then following up with a text, and then you've got it in writing. But it decayed to a place it just didn't have. I mean, I'm happy to see y'all. I got to be here anyway. But it just decayed to this nonsensical place. I agree with her. I also, what's wrong with the $1,000 offer? Do you not think that's fair?
Honestly, no. I felt I didn't want to rush and say yes.
No, I get it. I'm asking you now. You and I are just talking now.
Right.
See, here's the thing. If you had zero obligation to pay for the fence, if the fence was on her side, and you were just helping out and creating an obligation for yourself, and then they did what they did, which is to make it nice for them and crappy for you, which is not what was there before, I'd say the fence is on you. But you do have a legal obligation to contribute to the fence. And you guys know that, right? And where you are, you have a legal obligation when the fence is on the property line to both of you to be responsible. And then what the law says is, well, who's benefiting more? Like there's things that a judge, the things you'd expect a judge to balance, like the nice side is on their side.
And honestly, I've maintained that fence since it was put in.
That's irrelevant.
Okay.
That's irrelevant.
To say that I had did that. And honestly, they sent me a demand letter before I really even had time to think about that $1,000, and it was for the full amount.
That's incorrect.
When was the demand letter sent?
June 17th.
When was the text sent offering $1,000?
That would be June 16th.
Okay, so she said you sent it right away, and the answer is you sent it within 25. Look at me. Right.
Had to send that letter because of the small claims. I had to do actions for that.
Yeah, but no, you can wait a second, take a breath. I mean, yes, you have to do that, but you didn't have to do that the next day after you had just met. See, this is the anatomy of a lawsuit. This is how we find ourselves here. And you don't live there now, but what if you live there someday and she's your neighbor? Or it's really nice to have a good relationship when you own property. It's really nice to have a good relationship with the adjoining property because other things will come up. So it's just so silly, ladies, that we ended up in this position over what? Over really, I think she probably would have given the $1,000, but it's just, if you offer $1,000 in the tone that you did, like my brother said this, and she says, well, you know what, and then you get a demand letter for the $1,400, she's like, you know what, let's do it in court. That's how you want to play, let's do it in court, right?
She's the one that said, talk to her attorney.
She did because all right, now I wasn't going to do it, but now I'm going to do it. I'm going to go to your messages and we're going to do a dramatic reading of it. Sometimes my children and I, when I say, look at the way this person talked to me, they'll go, Mom, stop. You just read it this way. I'm going to read it this way. Now I'm going to read it. I don't know how you meant it. I'm going to read it like she felt it. So hold on one second. June 16th. Okay, we have a problem. A friendly neighbor fence swaps flat sides. That is not how it was installed. Therefore, I will not be paying anything towards the fence. Oh, well, that's a little off-putting as well. Hello, per our previous text messages, Discussing the split payment agreement, there was never expression from you that you would be agreeing to, both of you are pretty guilty, actually, only the flat fence were alternated. Since the agreement was put in place without this guideline, you will need to proceed with splitting the payment as previously discussed. The reason they are not alternating side is because of the clearance. Due to your vegetation, that is not possible. If my vegetation was an issue, why is the side with no vegetation not flipped? She's right about that. I will not pay 50%. I asked your sister-in-law in written quotes and was never received. Is Jeff even a professional company or a side job? You know, because now she's angry. Any decisions made should have included me and not be made by Jeff. Can I ask, are you a first-time owner? Okay, that's off-putting. Look it up. In the meantime, contact your brother and give a smaller percentage because I will not be paying 50%. I asked SIL for a copy of the sister-in-law and only received a text. Either renegotiate or speak to my attorney. Is he licensed? You brought a worker on my property that is not insured. I didn't agree to that. You agreed to pay half without even knowing the guy, without even seeing a written quote, without even asking for a license. But now, because you're angry, after speaking with my brother again, we have agreed to drop your repair cost to $1,000. That happens on June 16th. But then you received the demand letter what day?
I believe it was June 24th.
Okay.
My daughter got the mail.
Yeah. She sends it the 17th, but you sent it how?
Regular mail.
Regular mail.
Yes.
So you get it. So from June 16th to June 24th, there's quite a few days. There's 8 days. So how do you mean that you didn't have a chance to fully absorb the $1,000? That wasn't like a rush. It's like 8 days passed. I realized she jumped the gun and she mailed it that day, but she didn't walk it over that day. You don't know about it till the 24th. That's 8 days later, right? Yeah. I think $1,000 is reasonable. Don't you? I think it is. Because you don't
I do feel, that I do owe a responsibility towards the
But
fence.
I agree with you 100% that you don't know half.
I just don't feel I owe 50%.
I agree. I'm going to order you to contribute to the fence in the amount of $1,000. Good luck, folks.
Thank you.
Maybe next time we won't worry so much about what a good neighbor fence is, and we worry a little more about what a good neighbor is, right?
Right.
Thank you.
So the plaintiff prevails, but she does not get the full $1,447 she wanted. She only gets the $1,000. Ms. Moniz, you did not prevail, obviously. You could have settled this, before you came to court because they asked you for $1,000. You wouldn't even pay that. Now the judge says you do have to pay the $1,000. What are you thinking?
I think it's fair. I'm happy with the decision. As an owner, I feel I do have some responsibility. So I just wanted it to be decided by the court.
So the point is you could have settled this before coming to court, but now you have done it in court, and you seem happy about it. That's pretty surprising.
I'm just happy that it's over. I don't have any hard feelings towards anybody. I just like to get it settled and move on.
Okay, well, it is settled now. And even though they're not next door, you can live with the fence. You think you'd be all right with it?
Oh,
it may
yeah,
not
I'd be fine.
Family friendly.
Yeah.
It will be fine.
Mm-hmm.
That's a totally different tune. You've changed your tune dramatically.
Yeah, I could be mellow.
Good for you. All right, thank you very much. The exit is on your left, all right? Thank you so much. Ms. Crisp, you're going to get the $1,000 finally. What are you thinking now?
I just wanted what she agreed to. So I get that it wasn't alternating, but I didn't feel like we should have to pay 100% of the cost. So I'm happy.
So it was worth filing the lawsuit in your mind. She wasn't going to pay you until you filed the lawsuit, right?
Correct. I mean, I wish she would have just responded to the text. We wouldn't have been here, but I guess she wanted to be on TV.
Was it worth it?
Sure. Yeah. Got my money, so I'm good.
All right. All right, very good, very good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Enjoy your fence, okay?
Thank you, will do.
You're very welcome. All right, Harvey.
Okay, Doug, so this is a case where you have a fence on the property line, and generally, if there is already a fence there, both sides have to maintain it. If there isn't a fence there, you have to negotiate on whether to put one up, unless it's legally required, in which case both sides have to do it. As for who gets the ugly side, there's a solution to that. Paint.
The father of my daughter's children is self-employed and has not paid taxes in over 10 years. They were never married, and she would like to file for child support, but is hesitant because she is sure he will lie about his income. What can she do?
Well, she should file, if she doesn't already have it, file a paternity action or an action for child support so that she can provide for the children that she has with him. And the fact that he hasn't paid taxes in 10 years, well, judges are going to impute an income to him of what? Minimum wage? Is that?
Yeah, it depends on your state, but it's going to be minimum wage. In Florida, it would be imputed that, look, you can at least make minimum wage, so you're going to pay that.
So you can't say, well, I'm an artist and I make $10 a month or something, right? Because you could go out.
Well, you can and they do, but no, you're not going to get away with it.
Right. You know, and I think that from the question, it sounds like she might believe that she has some leverage
possibly
over him,
on the part
because he hasn't filed in 10 years.
Right.
You know, I did prosecute tax fraud cases when I was a federal prosecutor, and if you do not file taxes at all, that's a misdemeanor under Title 26 of the United States Code. But if you file fraudulently and you are evading taxes with your returns by making false statements in them, et cetera, boom, that's a felony. So remember, better not to file at all.
Better not to do the felony.
Don't lie about it.
Right. But, you know, this happens all the time because there's a lot of people who kind of work under the table and whatever.
Absolutely.
And so, you know, and then I'm self-employed, I make X. Well, her task is going to be to show that he does not make X, that he makes 3 times X. So the way to do that is to have evidence of the cars he's driving.
Right.
The
unexplainable wealth or assets that don't really...
Credit card statements from the last many times that you can show where
he's spending X, but he claims he's earning Y, and there's a big disparity there.
That's the way to build that case in front of a judge.
That's going to beat him down into going, well, okay, you got me. I make a little more money than that. And agree to a higher number. Right.
This podcast is supported by FX's English Teacher, a new comedy from executive producers of What We Do in the Shadows and Baskets. English Teacher follows Evan, a teacher in Austin, Texas, who learns if it's really possible to be your full self at your job while often finding himself at the intersection of the personal, professional, and political aspects of working at a high school. FX's English Teacher premieres tonight on FX. Stream on Hulu.
This is the plaintiff, Chad Holmes. He says he rented space on the defendant's property to store his lawnmower, and a tree fell on it, damaging it something awful. He politely asked the defendant to make a claim on her homeowner's insurance, and she refused. Since he pays rent, he thinks he should be reimbursed the $2,350.93 in damages he incurred, and is suing for just that in this courtroom today. This is the defendant, Maureen Zyko. She says the plaintiff moved his trailer and lawnmower from its original spot on her property to an outside area by a public road, which was illegal. She told the guy to move the equipment, but he didn't listen. Then a bad storm hit, and a bunch of trees came down. His lawnmower was damaged because he never moved it. It wasn't on her property. And she simply owes this man nothing. She's accused of not taking responsibility.
All parties, please raise your right hands.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case in the docket. The plaintiff says a tree fell on his lawnmower in an area he rented from the defendant, and he wants her to pay him for the damage. But the defendant says that the plaintiff parked his equipment on a town road, which isn't her property, and she owes him nothing. It's the case of timber.
Thank you, Douglas.
You're welcome.
All right, Mr. Holmes, what happened?
Hi, Your Honor. I rented space from Mrs. Maureen for close to 3 years, and the trailer was parked on the backside of her driveway.
Was your rent just covering the trailer?
In the beginning, it was a space next to the horse barn, but she wanted a lot of money for an area that I didn't really use. And then the second agreement was for a horse stall and to keep the trailer there.
Okay. And where would you keep the trailer?
Power equipment in.
Where on her property did you keep the trailer?
If you look at the picture, you can see the driveway loops around the back of her house, and there was a small pull-off that I would back it into to keep it out of the way from the driveway.
And would you park it in the same place all the time?
I parked it there for approximately 2.5 years.
And was it parked there before that 2.5 years? Or was there a different place on the property where you used to park it?
There was a spot over by the horses where those two trucks are in the picture there under the tree. I used to park there, but then another renter was using the area.
So, it's hard to see from above because of, I appreciate the picture, but it's all very dense. I see a road looping and then coming down. Are you on the other side of that circular loop? Are you on the house side of it or on the other side of it?
So the loop is her driveway, and then I am right off the driveway to the right side, to the outside.
To the outside of it.
The property line runs on the other side of the driveway. There's stone walls that divide the properties. It's well inside her property.
Okay, where is the stone wall in this picture?
On the far top left corner, there's a stone wall that runs in between the two properties that you can't see from the tree cover.
Yeah. Did she ever tell you that you were parked in the wrong place and that you couldn't park there and you needed to park elsewhere or anything else?
No, ma'am.
Would she know where you were parked, or is the property so vast that she might not know it's there?
She drove by it every single day.
Okay. So what happens?
There was storm damage, and we were out working, trying to clean up other properties. Probably 3 days after the storm, I went there, and I noticed that I couldn't get back to the trailer, and I couldn't really see because there was a lot of tree down.
So what caused the trees to come down?
Just wind.
The wind and the storm? Okay.
Yeah.
So, Ms. Zyko, where did he have that lawnmower parked?
Your Honor, if you would look at the plot plan that I gave you, he was parked on that back, looks like a driveway, but it's a back road that's on the town property.
Okay. I'm looking at the site plan.
You see where the X is?
Uh-huh.
That's where the trailer was parked and the lawnmower on the trailer. Now you will see my property line. It cuts through that little oval. So when we drove around there, we were driving on town property. That was a fire road. It's not a paved road. And over to the right, you can see my line, my plot line.
Okay, so let me ask you, Mr. Holmes, are you taking, can you see this? And did she mark where your trailer was correctly?
I still think that I was inside her property line, more by this triangular area.
So you don't feel that where she put trailer here is correct?
No, ma'am.
Well, let me ask you this. What is it that caused the trees to come down, Ms. Zyko?
A bad storm was predicted, and it came. And the wind was very high and loud, and it brought a lot of the trees down.
Okay.
Because on that side of the property where the town has its conservation area, it's completely treed with pine trees that fall all the time. Now, last year in 21, I told Chad to park down next to the barn because for this reason. And he did. He parked it there all year, and in the summer, he finally used it. He had it there all year with no cover, nothing. And then he kept parking it up on that piece of roadway after that.
Did you ever tell him stop parking there? That's not my
I did. I told him, Chad White, you should have come and moved the tractor and the trailer when you knew there was a storm coming.
No. My question to you is, before the storm, had you ever mentioned to him, hey, that's not my property? I'm just curious.
Yes. When I told him to park down near the end of the barn before, I mentioned that he should park there because if we get a storm, the trees will come down and land on the trailer and the lawnmower.
Okay.
And he did park there.
So when did Mr. Holmes first say to you, hey, I think you should make a homeowner's claim, and what was your response?
Okay, the storm happened, and the very next day, I came up my driveway, and I was parked in my driveway, and he came up. And he said, I was in my car, and he came to the window, and he said, what are you going to do about my trailer and lawnmower? I said, I can't do anything about it. He said, well, I want $3,000. That's what he told me. And I said, I don't think my homeowners will pay for that because it's not on my property. And he said, he was angry, and he said, well, you'll hear from me. And then what did he do? I went in the house, and I wasn't in the house 10 minutes when the police were at my door. He called the police on me, and 2 officers came, and he stood in the front of my house in the driveway talking to one officer, and the other officer said to me, we were reported that you had an altercation with this man. And he inferred that I had touched him, and I never touched him. I was sitting in my car. I'm 84 years old. I'm on a cane. I would never do that. I never even raised my voice at him. And he was angry, and he went off and called the police on me. And the policeman, he was a little upset too. Why would he say that I had an altercation with him when I didn't? Now, my 18-year-old granddaughter was with me, and she said, I never heard a thing. There was no yelling or screaming or anything.
Okay, give me a moment. And Mr. Holmes, can you tell me why the police were called?
I simply called to have a police report of the damage on the property.
Okay.
Never said that she raised her voice to me. They asked me what she said to me when I asked about what we could do for the damages, and I told her, the officer, that she had told me that she wasn't responsible.
All right, so here's what we have. We have trees going down. Do we know anything else about those trees?
So the tree is actually located in her pool area.
Uh-huh.
You can see that the tree came down from her property, her pool area, and it hit my trailer in the spot where she claims is not her property, but in my opinion, it is.
How does that road that I'm looking at on the left, that road curbs to the left, like beyond in the picture, it would be curbing to the left?
So right on the that's the sheds right there that you can see the little white speck from, and across from that is her house.
Okay, so on the left-hand side of the picture, there's a speck of white on the right-hand side of the driveway. That's her shed? Okay.
Yeah.
And then her house is to the right of that?
It's to the left of that.
Is to the left of that, but on the same side of the driveway?
It's on the other side of the driveway.
Oh, well, then that's kind of her point, right? If it's on the other side of the driveway, then you're
Right, but if
parking
you
in the
look
wrong
at the
place.
lot lines,
Let me ask you
most of the
something, because it
driveways-
honestly, we're getting stuck on this, and the truth of the matter is, let's assume for one moment that you are parked squarely on her property and that you pay rent to park on her property. And then a storm happens. Ms. Zyko, did you summon the storms with your magical powers?
No, Your Honor.
Right. So what did she do wrong that would mean she or her homeowners would have to pay for the damage? Typically, there has to be some negligence on their part. It's not just, hey, it happened on your property. There has to be negligence on their part when there's an act of God like this, a storm that she didn't summons. So tell me, how then is she at fault?
I believe she's at fault because the tree that fell was overgrown and rotted.
Okay,
and she had been
now you're
told
saying
by-
it's overgrown and rotted. Can you show me
sorry, Your
evidence
Honor,
that
I'm
it was
having a hard
overgrown
time
and
hearing you.
rotted and that she should have known? So it's not enough to show me that it's rotted on the inside. You've got to be able to show that the average person would have been able to tell from the outside. Was there ever a time when you said to Ms. Zyko, hey, these trees are rotted and should come down? Yes or no?
Yes, several times. And
Oh,
she's
really?
actually had us cut
Wait,
other
hold on.
trees
Ms.
down that
Zyko,
came
did
down
he
on
ever
the
tell you that the trees are rotted and they need to come down in the spot where he's...
No, because my trees weren't rotted.
Okay.
weren't rotted.
Mr. Holmes, can you show me any proof that you ever notified her that these trees are rotted?
No, Your Honor, I cannot.
Okay. And then now in the pictures, is there any evidence that the trees were rotted as opposed to that they were perfectly healthy trees that went down because of a terrible storm? How bad were the winds that day?
35, 40 miles an hour.
Ooh.
Yeah, how about 50?
Okay. So where are your pictures that show me rotted trees coming down? Where's that? Do you have that, Mr. Holmes? You don't have one, do you?
I have them on my phone. Yeah, it's just they're hard to make out, and you probably can't see them as well as you should, and I probably should have taken better pictures.
Okay. When there is a storm, and a storm brings down trees, what the plaintiff in such a case has to prove is that there was negligence on the part of the defendant. Otherwise, it's an act of God, and it can't be helped. So even assuming that you were parked in the right spot, what we have is a situation where you cannot prove to me that they were diseased or that you ever brought to her attention that they were diseased. So I cannot rule in your favor. My verdict is for the defendant.
We're going to take a break. When we come back, Judge Million's going to be in chambers with her husband, John, and Doug will be chit-chatting with the litigants.
Are you having a dispute with a relative and do you want Judge Millian to settle it for you? Contact us at peoplescourt.com and hit submit your case.
So the plaintiff fails to prove he deserves to be reimbursed by the defendant, and he does not get $2,350 from her. Mr. Holmes, what are you thinking about the judge's decision? What's your reaction?
I think she's probably right. I should have had better evidence together, and that's my own fault.
Okie dokes. Kind of a lackadaisical attitude there, but you're right. It's your, no question, it's your fault, for sure. All right, Ms. Zyko, how do you feel about this? You were pretty adamant that you weren't responsible for it, right?
Well, I feel sad that he lost his lawnmower in his trailer, but I don't think he treated me fairly all this time. I charged him $100 a month for the stall that he had all his equipment in. And of course he was mad, and he moved everything out and left me with a whole bunch of trash that I have to get a dumpster and clean out myself. And it's just not fair.
Well, anyway, he lost the case, Ms. Zyko. You have prevailed, so congratulations. Good enough.
Doug, if you live next to somebody who has a tree that looks precarious, you got to put them on notice. Once they know the tree is in danger of falling, they have a duty to deal with it. If they don't know, you're probably going to lose your court case if it damages your property.
I was wondering if when the judge is about to rule, if the plaintiff realizes they need more information to win, can they ask to submit more before she renders a judgment? Or can they move to dismiss without prejudice and take a little more time to make a better case?
Well, most judges are not going to give you, a chance to waste their day and then waste their day another day when you're better prepared. So that's not going to happen, especially when you have a jury.
There might be a circumstance where a witness had a flat tire, something happened that's really weird where you might, right?
Oh, yeah, no. If it's just that you misjudge how much evidence you should put on, that's on you.
Different.
If something catastrophic happens, a judge will give you, the next day. Right. It always complicates matters when there's a jury involved, too, because you have to take into account how how you're affecting their time and making them all come back another day. If it's in front of a judge might often give you more time. If I feel like the person just didn't buy, nobody told me I had to bring that. I wish I'd known. I wish you told me I had to bring that. If it's that kind of thing, you're not going to get more time. If you say I did everything I couldn't get it without a subpoena, I need this, that's kind of different. I'll give you more time to go ahead and present it. It's happened on the People's Court where I've said, I'll give you a week to present that. If you don't present it, I'm ruling this way. If you present it, I'm ruling that.
Yes, you do it from time to time.
Yeah.